They have now moved into the lead with just less than 2 hours to go here at Silverstone in this 3-hour Blancpain Endurance Series race. As we continue to get pitters. And so Bastlinder's out. Look at that. He's really pulling away from the Alpina now, and the Alpina subsequently not really pulling away from the McLaren. So it seems like you lose about a lap when you make a pit stop, by the looks of things, because the number 60 McLaren was about that far behind. Oh, a little mistake there at Luffield from Nicholas Meyer-Melnhof. Will that force him into the pits? Will he decide enough's enough? Let's wait and see. Yes, he does. So our second place man, the Alpina B6, pulls into the pit lane. So we'll have to find out who will be getting in next. It looks to me like that is Dardal, isn't it? Who's going to be climbing into the pit lane next in his distinctive yellow overalls that, handily for me, have his name written all over the back of them. So I think we've got Dardal climbing in to the number 41 Mark VDS Racing Team BMW Alpina. So that's going to be a real battle when Bastlinder's makes his pit stop as well. So let's see and wait how that transpires. And also, is the Alpina going to get out ahead of Klaas Hummel, who we saw him battling with on the track, but Hummel was a lap down, but they were fairly close together on the circuit before the pit stop began. Only 2 cars in the pits at the moment, I think. Well, certainly only 2 that are still running. Because it looks like that the 42 car, the Sport Garage car of Eric Cairol, was still in the pits, as is Alvaro Parent. It seems to suggest Frank Heckler has gone back out after being in there for 8 minutes, an 8-minute pit stop. And so this is the 29 car, Philippe Salquada, who is going to be battling for position, isn't he, with the Alpina. So it looks like Philippe Salquada is going to come through and overtake the Alpina. Through goes Salquada, and there's the Alpina still in the pit stop. So the 29 car had a 1 minute 43 second pit stop. And away goes Dylan Dardal down to the end of the pit lane. So he's lost quite a bit of time. Let's have a look exactly how much time he has lost. When he comes out of the pits, it will let us know. So it was a 1 minute 43 second pit stop. That's one of the quickest we've seen, actually. And Bastlinder's is in now, as they wrestle to get the seatbelts off. As exiting onto the circuit, then comes the Alpina. So that's really shaken up the order quite a little bit. The Alpina dropping down behind Salquada. Possibly, is that behind Klaas Hummel as well? Yeah, so the orange McLaren we just saw flashing through shot has moved ahead. There it is. So Klaas Hummel ahead of the Alpina, now being driven by Dylan Dardal. That's because it was a 2 minute 18 pit stop for the Alpina, compared to 1:43 of the Ferrari, as Bastlinder's is in the pits. Well, he's out of the car now. And we'll have to wait and see who's taking over from him. If it was, it'll be Marcus Paltella or Maxime Martin. A little bit of trouble with that rear right. Finally, they let the car down, fire him up, and away he goes. So where is this going to put him out? This is going to be interesting indeed. It looks like it's Paltella who has taken over in that 40 car, according to the timing screens. There is Philippe Salquada, who I think has pretty much inherited the lead of this race, or had anyway, but we're going to see if the Mark VDS BMW gets out ahead in the battle for what will subsequently be the lead of this race. And I imagine it will, because Salquada's only just coming across the start line, whereas it seemed like the BMW was on his way a little time ago. There's the there's the BMW, so it does manage to hold on to the lead. it's hold on to the lead overall as well. So it's in that it hasn't just got the lead once the pit stops shake out, it's got the lead right now. Bas Linders will be pretty pleased with his effort. There he is, having a little drink to recover. So the 29 car, the Vita4One car, has now been handed over to Carlos Iannicelli. Iaconelli, I should say. And they are very, very close together. Is that the 29 car right up behind him? I think it is. So as they head down towards Abbey, the complexion of this race really has changed a little bit. The great pit stop from Vita4One means that Carlos Iaconelli is right in this battle. And actually, no, that's the AF Corsa car, isn't it? So it's still the number 40 car out there. Bas Linders did the opening stint, and he's now down with Haley.
Bas, you've got to be happy with that fantastic pit stop, great stint, and now Marcus is in the lead.
Yeah, it's really good teamwork. The team did a very good job all weekend. It's really wonderful. We had some hard times, but we are all sticking good together. And I had a good stint. It was nice to drive the car. We saved some fuel in the middle of my stint, but in the end, yeah, it worked out fine because I even passed the Alpina on track.
What happened when you took the lead?
Well, the Alpina, I think, behind McLaren, it shows the wrong side. It went to the left, and then it hesitated. And I went on the right, took the slipstream, and outbraked them into Stowe. Was not a super move, but it's always good to take an extra margin.
Thank you.
This, of course, is the replay of that move. Bas Linders describing how he took the lead away from the Alpina. So that was a replay, and now we go back live to see one of the McLarens, the only remaining McLaren out there. Unfortunately, Klaus Hummel still running in third place though, so good work from the McLaren boys. It looked as though they lost a bit of pace in the middle part of that section, but the slow pit stop from the Alpina really cost them. What's their lap times going to be like this time? You'd imagine the Alpina, going on qualifying form alone, to be a little bit quicker than the McLaren. And the Alpina was quicker that time around. I think that was the first lap out of the pits, wasn't it? So it's probably going to be a little bit disjointed. Certainly you can see the Alpina beginning to close in as they head towards Maggots and Beckett's. So Dahl behind Klaus Hummel. And Dahl surely is going to make a move on this McLaren fairly soon. This is the battle over third position. Through Chapel, down the Hangar Straight they come. And straight line speed is a big advantage of the Alpina as well as fast cornering. So the McLaren possibly pulls away in the tight and twisty section. The arena infield, as wide onto the grass goes one of the AF Corsa cars. I think that was the 50 car of, well, it was Pier Giuseppe Perezzini who was driving it. It now looks like it's been taken over by Marco Ciocci. He is down in 16th place. The 33 car, actually, the car that's looking set to win the championship for Greg Franke, now has been taken over by Andrea Piccini. And as a result, or maybe not as a result, but combined with that, it's now starting to find a bit of pace. Up to 9th place is Andrea Piccini in the 33 WRT Belgian Audi Club Audi R8. So Piccini finding a bit of pace. Look at that massively wide line taken in. As there are the Alpina guys just having a little chat. Determined to try and get past this McLaren. Is it going to happen into Brooklands? Down towards the left-hander they come. The Alpina's got alongside. Much later on the brakes. And through he goes. Very good performance. Frank Kessler saying there is Niki Mihajlovic. And the Alpina then past the McLaren. And Dino Lunardi was actually saying that the kind of aerodynamics this car creates is almost like an LMP car, but he's got a little bit of backmarker traffic to get through. Georges Cabin still running, and therefore still looking set to take the gentleman's trophy. Let's hear from the man who did the first stint in that Alpina V6.
Nikki, after a huge effort, sadly you did lose the lead. Tell us about when Bass took that lead from you.
Yeah, it was such a shame. I was fighting so well, and the car was in great condition, and the team worked incredibly. And for me to come back into this car at the end of the season to have such a good race, it was such a big shame because I could hold him a little bit because I was faster in first, second sector, but in the middle he was faster, and it was just too dangerous. He just didn't see me, the McLaren, and tried to push me out in the lawn with 250, 260. Didn't try to take any chances, but it was a really good stint, but still long race to go, but we'll see how we end. It's a shame that Alberto Eugenio is not here. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So there's the Alpina down into club corner. And it's falling very, very strongly indeed. So then it looks as though, is this McLaren starting to just drop back a little bit, Klaas Hummel, because all of a sudden he's got, this is a battle for position now with the number 9 Porsche, being driven now by Rafael Giammaria. So we've got 4th, 5th and 6th all together, because I think that's the 32 Vita41 car. Oh no, it's not actually. So that Ferrari must be a lap down, even though it's still trying to get involved. Yeah, that's Kekler, isn't it? That's the Kekler car that has now been handed over. Not entirely sure who to, but there is the move from the Porsche up the inside of the McLaren through Aintree. So Giammaria moves past Klaas Hummel, as through goes the number 1 car as well. I think that's Matteo Bobby now in the car, but it's a real shame that car is so far down. Now look at the traffic that the number 40 car is finding itself in. This is our race leader, Marcus Pautala, and you can see he's really struggling. Lost about 2 seconds on that last lap, trying to negotiate his way through all this traffic. He does have a 7-second advantage over Carlos Iaconelli behind him, so it's not too much of a problem if he loses a bit of time, but we'll want to minimise the time loss, of course. Through Abbey he comes. A few drivers setting their personal best laps of the race. Peter Cox in 13th place, setting his personal best lap of the race, as well as the 4 Hexus Aston Martin of Henri Mozo, who's now running in 7th place. As out through Aintree once more comes our race leader. Good solid performance at the moment. First sector times, lost about a second to his chaser, did Marcus Pautala. So the 29 car, the Vita41 Ferrari of Carlos Iaconelli in 2nd place, just edging in a little bit, the 29 car. There he is. You can see him coming through Lovefield corner. So the gap visibly is coming down. It was 7 seconds. I think it's going to be a little bit less at the end of this lap. Might be a lot less actually. 7 seconds. The gap's now down to 3.5. So, well, is Marcus Pautala struggling with traffic or tyres or a mechanical problem? Or is Iaconelli just absolutely on it? Into Maggots and Beckett's they come. We could have another battle for the lead fairly shortly. So that second Ferrari is the back marker, but then that the final Ferrari you can see in your shot there, he is our 2nd place man, Carlos Iaconelli. Headlights ablaze. Could be challenging for the lead of this race before too long as they head down the Hangar Straight. Down a few gears into Stowe corner, the long, long right-hander. And Iaconelli performing very strongly indeed, the 24-year-old Brazilian. Plenty of experience, did a bit of Formula Renault 3.5, raced in FIA Formula 2 in 2009. Also did GP2 Asia a few years ago. Plenty of single-seater experience before moving to GTs. And he throws his way into the right-hander at Abbey. There then is Klaas Hummel. He's currently running down in 6th place after losing a bit of positions. The man who took the first stint was Phil Quaife.
Phil, you seem to have quite a productive stint, but looks like Klaas is losing some pace on track. Can you give us an update?
Well, as you know, I've just come out of the car, so I haven't had a good chance to speak with the engineers. But from my side, we had a great start. The car was fantastic, and You know, hats off to the McLaren guys this weekend. We've moved forward a huge step from where we were when we first started on Friday, and let's hope we can get a good result from it.
Thank you.
Thank you, cheers.
So Phil Quaife taking the opening stint, but Klaus Hummel, after coming out of the pits third, has now lost out to Gia Maria. Philippe Albuquerque as well has got past in the number 32 Belgian Audi Racing Club, so that means that the car that was started from the front row by Bert Longa is now dropping down. Once again, we're starting to see track limit warnings down at Stowe Corner, probably because now they've swapped over, these drivers all need to be warned as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if in about 45 minutes time we start getting another load of driver warnings for respecting track limits. But our race leader then, how has that progressed since we were last looking? We had a little chat to Phil Quaife, and since then the gap is now 2.6 seconds, so that last lap it was another 0.8 of a second that Carlos Iaconelli took out of our race leader Marcus Pautella. Marcus Pautella, who, unlike a number of the drivers in this field, the driver there in the 40 race leading car, he didn't really do much single-seater stuff. He started doing karts, but moved then straight into Finnish touring cars and German touring cars as well. So, unlike the majority of these drivers who started off in single-seaters and then moved to GTs, he has moved straight to tin tops, really. There's car 24, the Blancpain Reiter car. Peter Cox has got in the car and is now lapping 2 seconds quicker than the leaders. It was a 2-minute 4.658 on that last lap, whereas the leader did a 2-minute 6.5. So very, very impressive performance now from Peter Cox. 13th place. How much time does he need to find to make up a position or two? The next car he's got to battle is the JRM Nissan, as we've got the number 3 Hexus Aston Martin in the pits. So, well, they're all a little bit out of sync, aren't they? Because they had to come in quite early on to change tyres to sort out a flat spot. And there, well, that's going to make Peter Cox's task of catching Richard Westbrook a little bit easier. Well, it's now Peter Dumbreck who has taken over the car, but I don't think it's going to be Peter Dumbreck who's going to finish the car, because the car looks pretty finished already. Onto the infield. The car's behaving a bit strangely, isn't it? It's got a bit of smoke coming out from underneath. There is Oliver Turvey now, so that's a car of Alvaro Parente, which was in the pits for a long, long time. More than 9 minutes it was in the pits. It's come out the pits, and it looks like it might be heading straight back to the pits, because Oliver Turvey, yep, there he is, coming back into the pit lane. And sounds alright as it goes past, but there's obviously some mechanical gremlin in there, as the number 3 car now heads out. There's Peter Dumbreck. He's looking towards the front right, isn't he? Or is he just going to do that thing where he looks all the way around? Yeah, he's going to do that thing where they look all the way around. So, no clue there what happened to the JRM Nissan. Disappointment for Peter Dumbreck. They were lapping fairly well. That means Peter Cox moves up into 12th place. So we've got the Mark VDS BMW leading. 4.1 seconds clear now of Carlo Iaconelli in second place, and that looks terminal now, doesn't it, for Oliver Turvey's McLaren, unfortunately. So Iaconelli has dropped his pace a little bit. Derdal is in third place in the Alpina. Fourth place. An impressive drive so far for the number 9 Porsche. Now that Gia Maria has got into it, he's really starting to pick up the pace and move up into 4th place. Philippe Albuquerque, 5th in the number 32 Belgian Audi Club Audi R8. 6th place is Klaus Hummel in the McLaren. 7th is the number 4 Hexus Aston Martin, now being driven by Henri Moser. 8th place is the 33 car, the car that could seal the championship for its driver Greg Franke. He is now handed over to Andrea Piccini, and they're running in 8th place. And running in 9th place is our Pro-Am leader. There you can see the standings down there. 9th place, that Ferrari 458 is our Pro-Am leader, Nick Homerson. And then we've still got the David Jones Mercedes running in at 10th place. It looks like it's David, actually, that has taken over from Godfrey. So it seems to suggest Godfrey started that race, but the sheet said David, but alas, it's one of the Jones brothers in that machine. And we've got Ferraris, Lamborghinis and Ferraris again. Pro-Am is David Jones in that second place. The screen, yep, David Jones in that second place, with Peter Cox third in Pro-Am then. Championship-wise, this all means that Greg Franke is looking like he's going to win the Pro Cup if things stay like how they are. Nick Homerson, I think, will clinch, along with Louis Maciel, will clinch Pro-Am if things stay how they are. And the Gentleman Trophy will be won by Georges Cabin, and still running, I think, is Alex Buncombe in the 63 RJM Motorsport car, although he may have handed over actually, but they are still running and still looking strong. Team manager of car 36 has been sent immediately to the pit lane, so that's the only Cup class car we have out. The 36 Porsche. Sergio Negroni started that car, so not 100% sure what that's about. This is looking like a good battle may develop. There is Peter Cox, still flying around. Last lap was a 2 minute 5 dead, that one was a 2 minute 4.7. Fastest man on the circuit that time around. Fantastic lapping, and Peter Cox is really getting into the swing of things. There's Hans Reiter, pretty pleased with Peter Cox's pace, I think, aren't you? Yes, he nods in agreement. And also Andrea Piccini's done his personal best, a 1 minute 5.4. So as we approach half distance, drivers just starting to settle down into their cars now. It is Matteo Bobby who has taken over in the number 1 Vita for 1 car. He's now moved up into 20th place, and that'll be 19th in a minute, because he'll go past Peter Dumbreck. So Felipe Albuquerque, this is the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. The Alpina, the Porsche and the Ferrari are soon to be joined by that man, Felipe Albuquerque, in the BMW. How has he been lapping? He's been lapping at a similar pace, but he has been closing in, driving the Audi. But Klaas Hummel, 5 seconds slower on that last lap. He did a 2 minute 10.9, so that was a mistake, and he's lapping very, very slowly still. 3 seconds slower in the middle sector, 2 seconds slower in the first sector, so I fear that number 60 McLaren could well be in a bit of trouble out there, which is a real shame. Already we've had the 59 McLaren retire. Seems like the pace is there, but not the reliability at this present time, so we'll keep an eye out for Klaas Hummel. Somewhere around the circuit he will be. Porsche just having a little look to the inside, not close enough. Henri Moser in the Hexus Aston Martin has got past Klaas Hummel, who again does a 2 minute 11. So losing positions hand over fist is Klaas Hummel, as this continuing battle for 3rd place begins to catch one of the back markers. Gia Maria right up behind Derdal. Derdal goes up the inside of the 22 car, which is in the Gentleman Trophy. Was started by Chris Diamond, and they've all made their way through now, apart from the Audi, which has just come through at the end. You just see coming into shot into the braking zone for Village. Differing lines being taken. I was surprised when we drove around the circuit earlier how it's a tight corner, but there's plenty of width around to take different lines through. So, down they come then into Brooklands. That Ferrari that's in the mix, of course, is 3 laps down. That's the car that was started by Frank Kettler, is now being driven by Matteo Bobby. So, if the Audi comes up behind him, in theory, they should get blue flags. Not that the marshals will necessarily know that, because they don't have timing screens out on post, so they just kind of do it by judgment. And if you were judging this, looking at it now, you would think that that turquoise and blue Ferrari is in this battle, but it's not. It's the Audi behind the Porsche and the Alpina that are coming through Beckett's now. So into the right-hander. Of course, if Albuquerque wants to get past Matteo Bobbi, which of course he does, it is his responsibility ultimately. The marshals try and help out with the blue flags, but there's only so much they can do. The blue flags in everything except F1 are merely an indication, a suggestion that there is a faster car behind you, and at this point there isn't a faster car behind him, particularly because the Audi isn't closing in as much as I would have thought, really. It's a difficult situation for Matteo Bobbi. He's 19th overall, a long way down in the pro class, but yet he wants to get in on this battle, but he's 3 laps down, so it's very interesting indeed. Here's one of the Audis going up the inside of the McLaren, and Klaus Hummel, who's been lapping very slowly indeed, finally loses out to Andrea Piccini in the 33 Audi. Down to Vale they come, as I say. Hummel's been lapping in the 2-minute 10s, whereas all the quick guys have been lapping in the 2-minute 6s. And so I think we'll see Klaus Hummel fall away very, very quickly from the back of the Audi. There goes Andrea Piccini. He's up the road, and he is gone. And the next man to attack him is going to be the number 2 car, which has now been taken over by Maciel, hasn't it? Louis Maciel has taken over, and a little look up the inside. So the Ferrari's going on the attack. He may be 3 laps down, but Matteo Bobbi wants to get some racing done. Right up behind Gia Maria. This is all allowing the Alpina to get away a little bit as well. So I think if Gia Maria gets into a scrap with the 3-lap down Ferrari, he'll probably be a little bit frustrated, I'd imagine, because he'd be thinking, well, I don't need to be battling you. I want to be catching up with the Alpina. Into Copse Corner. Albuquerque slowly closing in on the 2 of them. He hasn't steam trained up to the back of them as they all make their way past the RJN Nissan. Well, the Alpina does. They've caught the Nissan at the worst possible time, coming through Beckett's and Maggots. That has really held them up. Out through Chapel now, and the Audi, is he going to be seen? Yes, he is. So this is the battle for, well, 3rd place is the green Alpina. 4th place is the white and blue Porsche. 3 laps down is that Ferrari. So therefore 5th place is the black and white Audi of Philippe Albuquerque. And this now is Albuquerque's teammate, Maciel, battling with Godfrey Jones for the lead of Pro-Am, and it looks as though Jones has got alongside, David Jones I should say, and Jones has got through. So up into 9th place overall, and the lead of Pro-Am goes David Jones in his Mercedes SLR. Good performance from him, and they competed in the Spa 24 Hour. That's the only Blancpain round this season that the Joneses have done. As I say, they've been mainly concentrating on the British GT Championship, debuting this Mercedes. It's its first year of competition in the hands of the Joneses. And of course, it's the second race for them this weekend, because they were out in British GT yesterday. I assumed coming into this weekend that they would be the same Mercedes that they're using, but they've actually got 2. So a plethora of Mercedes for the Jones brothers. So what's happened here then? He has now got past, hasn't he? Philippe Albuquerque has got past Matteo Bobbi. So now the order is as you see it. If we ignore that Ferrari, it's 3rd, 4th and 5th, and then the Ferrari is 3 laps down. So Derdal, who's really begun to pull away now as we have less than half of the race remaining. It's a stop and go penalty for car 36 for disrespect of track limits. So that is not particularly good news for Luigi and Maliani in their Porsche 997 GT3 Cup. They're in the Cup class alone, so it's not a massive problem for them particularly. They'll still obviously want to finish as high up the order as they can. It'll probably lose them about 30 seconds or so. Now, what is Peter Cox's progress like? It's very fast indeed. He's closing in on that lead battle for Pro-Am, actually, by some 3 seconds a lap. But how far behind is he? We'll wait for the timing screens to tick over. He's 6 seconds behind and lapping 3 seconds a lap quicker, so I think that Pro-Am lead battle is going to be joined fairly soon by Peter Cox, who's a very, very experienced driver, as we know. Started off doing single-seaters, Formula Ford, Formula 3, Formula 3000, and then really he's been driving tin-tops, touring cars and GT1s and GTs since about 1993. So there's our race leader. He has got a comfortable advantage now, 10.4 seconds over Iaconelli in second place. So that initial pace that our second place man found, Carlos Iaconelli, when he first came out of the pits, appears to have wavered somewhat, and it's now some 10 seconds down the road. Here he is in the black and red Ferrari behind, coming up to lap one of the Rhino Lippert Lamborghinis, I believe. Through Chapel and down the hangar straight once more, and then behind them I think is Georges Cabin, still running in the Gentleman Trophy car. And into the right-hander at Stowe corner. So is he? I don't think he's going to be coming under too much pressure from behind, really, because of that slow pit stop. This man, Dylan Derdal, is a little bit too far back to do anything about it. We saw him going into Stowe, our second place man. Dylan Derdal in third, still just coming through the right-hander. Dylan Derdal with a couple of years in Belcar Endurance Championship in Belgium. Competed in there since 2009, did the Fun Cup in 2008. Curious way into GT racing, but that was his first year in racing after doing karting for a couple of seasons. So a fairly young driver, Dylan Derdal, only born in May 1992, so he's up against some very, very experienced drivers, and he's doing a pretty solid job at the moment. Raffaele Gianmaria, the 34-year-old, he certainly has plenty of experience, the man who is chasing down Dylan Derdal. Gianmaria. So Peter Cox, as we were saying earlier, is still lapping ridiculously quicker than David Jones in the lead of Pro-Am. And second place in Pro-Am is still the number 2 car of Louis Maciel. But there is Peter Cox. Can we see that battle in front? Not just yet. The gap was 6 seconds earlier. How is the gap looking now? It's now down to just 4.3 seconds. So it was that last lap. He took a second and a half out of him. That's the car behind, actually, as well, isn't it? So the 50 car, the 50 AF Corsa car of Marco Ciocci, starting to close in as well. So that Marco Ciocci, of course, running in the Pro class. Those guys really starting to concertina up with one another. So there's second place in the Pro-Am class, and there is Peter Cox. So there you can see the difference, the amount of time he's taken out, 4.4 seconds on lap 42. Cox is really knuckling down and starting to find a bit of pace. Starting to find a lot of pace, frankly. It won't be long before he's up to the back, and may not be long before he's up with David Jones as well in the lead Pro-Am car, running in 9th place overall as well. Maciel's through the right-hander and out onto the start-finish straight once more. Going in that number 2 Vita for 1 Ferrari 458 Italia. They won their class last time out at Magny Cours, and they now look like being second in class. And interestingly, being second in class could possibly be key for the title. So we've said that number 36 has got a stop and go penalty. He hasn't taken it yet, and he has been shown the board twice. So he needs to come into the pits ASAP, really. There it is. They're going to give it to him again. Maybe wave it around, jiggle it around a little bit to try and catch his attention. But it doesn't look like it's quite paying off. As I say, the 36 car, the only runner in the Cup class, the De Lorenzi Racing Porsche 997 GT3 Cup car. There's the Porsche in 4th place, still not coming under that much pressure from Philippe Albuquerque. Saying that, he's gone a little bit slow into Brooklyn's corner. Albuquerque, can he get the inside line into left field? Yes, he can. A little bit of contact between the two of them. Felipe Albuquerque catches Gia Maria completely off guard, I would say, and moves up into that 4th spot. So it's not over yet, though. Gia Maria absolutely nose to tail with him as they head down towards Copse Corner. Not enough room on the inside line to make the move stick. And that was a great little move from Albuquerque, the inside of Luffield. Not really an overtaking opportunity, but he managed to get his nose in and lever his way through. As I think our 36 car may have come in this time for his stop-go penalty. Yes, there he is. And getting a telling off as well. And away he goes. Stop-go penalty complete. And back out onto the circuit. So, Felipe Albuquerque in the number 32. WRT Audi R8 is up into 4th position, making that move, and now here is the move. Look, he's on the outside, and then it's a massive late move, and then is there a bit of a touch halfway through? I think there was a bit of side-to-side contact, but nothing too severe. A great little late move from Felipe Albuquerque using all of his experience, and now he's right onto the back of Dedal, isn't he? They were a little bit quicker, even including that overtaking manoeuvre. Albuquerque was 0.2 of a second quicker on that last lap. In the first sector they have matched one another. And there's Peter Cox up into 2nd in class. So Peter Cox makes the move past Louis Maciel, but that's because I think the Ferrari went wide at Beckett's, so Maciel making the mistake at Beckett's, Peter Cox pouncing on it and moving up into 2nd in class. How quickly will it be before he catches up to David Jones in that Mercedes SLR up in front? Not long, if I were a betting man. Down into Vale. And as you can see, very, very pleased with the performance of his car is Reiter. All 4 wheels over the white line. A little bit naughty there from Peter Cox, but I think it's the marshals at Stowe that seem to be more keen to penalise people than the marshals on the exit of club. And look how quickly he's pulled away now, and he's already starting to reel in David Jones. Felipe Albuquerque has taken 0.8 of a second out of Dedal in the middle sector, so I imagine 3rd position is going to be very close as well, as we see the Blancpain Reiter car begin to close in even more on David Jones. This is the battle for the Pro-Am lead, of course. And this subsequently means that if Maciel finishes down in 3rd place, and Frank Morale is currently running, where is he running in class? 5th in class. Oh, it may be enough to hang on to the championship win. It's going to be very, very close, and I'm going to have to do some very, hopefully, accurate maths, I think, towards the end of this race to work out Pro-Am Cup, because the others are fairly straightforward. Pro-Am Cup a little bit tricky, and the lead for Pro-Am Cup, I'm sure, is about to change, because into Beckett's and Maggots they come. There is our Pro-Am leader, David Jones, in the silver Mercedes Pressy Spark car, with the Blancpain Reiter car in the hands of the very capable hands of Peter Cox, right up behind as they come through Chapel. Down the hangar straight then, there's a McLaren in front of them, and that's actually for position, isn't it? That's Klaas Hummel still lapping slowly, and it's about to be overtaken by the Pro-Am cars as well, I think. So that is going to move them all up into 8th place if Peter Cox could be in 8th place come the end of this lap. And Klaas Hummel tries to get his way past the back marker, almost a collision there, and through goes David Jones. Then he moves past Klaas Hummel, and that has really held up Peter Cox quite badly. He finally gets around the back marker, and here's the battle for 3rd place. I thought it would be closing in. Felipe Albuquerque tries the same manoeuvre that he did previously. This time Dedal is equal to it, sees that one coming and leaves the door closed. Across the line they come into Copse Corner. The Porsche is just putting a lap on Georges Cabin, still leading the Gentleman Trophy. But 3rd position right together into Maggots and Beckett's. High-speed corners is where, as I've said before, the Alpina is very strong. So in theory the Audi shouldn't be that close through here, and I think it'll be through the tighter and twistier stuff that maybe Felipe Albuquerque will be able to make his move out onto the hangar straight. tucked right up behind. And it's not going to be close enough this time down into Stowe Corner. You can see and there's a spin. That has got to be the 60. And that must have been right in front of Peter Cox, that spin. So, that's beached. I fear that... Well, cars have gone off there in Formula 1 and they've done it with a live snatch. So hopefully the marshals will be feeling like they can do that there. So that, of course, was Klaas Hummel. And that ends the day for McLaren, unfortunately. It's such a strong start, running 3rd and 5th. Now both cars out of the race. As I say, hopefully that will all get sorted and can be moved away. Here's this continuing battle for 3rd position then. The Alpine are a very difficult car to get past because of its straight line speed. Is that the move up the inside from Albuquerque? No. He knows the strength of his Audi. Try to give it a push. I think it's going to take more than one chap to push it. They're about to get covered in gravel, I'm sure, when they fire up the rear wheels. That battle making its way down into Brooklands. Of course, yellow flags will be out probably at Brooklands, so I imagine there'll be no overtaking into Brooklands. In theory, anyway. Turn through Luffield. There is the car. Dangerous position. I wouldn't like to be the race director calling that one. Out onto the start-finish straight then. We've still got the number 40 car, Marcus Paltala, out in the lead of this one. But with, crucially, with Andrea Piccini running in 7th place for the Greg Franke car, that's enough to seal him the championship. So if things stay how they are now, he will take the title, Greg Franke. Battle for 3rd, through Chapel again. I think this may be a bit of a long waiting game now for Filipe Albuquerque, because he is going to find it very difficult, I would suggest, to get past his Alpina, because such is its strength in a straight line. He's going to need one of his cunning little darts up the inside. Filipe Albuquerque, the 2006 Formula Renault Euro Cup and North European Cup champion. 4th in Formula Renault 3.5 World Series by Renault in 2007. A1 GP for Portugal, and there's the move for the lead of Pro-Am. The Blancpain Reiter car moving up past David Jones down the start-finish straight into Copse, and Peter Cox moves into the lead of Pro-Am. David Jones drops down into 2nd. Still in 3rd place is Louis Maciel. As they exit now onto the hangar straight, so good move there from Peter Cox. It's been inevitable, you'd have to say. He's been lapping so much faster, even on that last lap. He managed to lap 1.2 seconds quicker. So really phenomenal pace in that Lamborghini for Peter Cox. As Filipe Albuquerque and the Alpina continue to do battle. Dylan Dardal, oh, has he gone a little bit wide into Brooklands? There he has. Is this going to be Filipe Albuquerque's favourite little move? No. Dardal sees it coming. Albuquerque really shot to fame when he won the Race of Champions a couple of years ago. No one had really heard of him. He'd done all right in single-seaters for himself, but then he went on to beat Sebastian Loeb and Sebastian Vettel in the Race of Champions, and that launched him into the public consciousness, really. And he is now battling for the final step on the podium in the final race of the 2011 Blancpain Endurance Series. Could be higher, you never know what's going to happen. We've got a final round of pit stops, of course, coming up in about 15 minutes time, I would imagine. Car 60 will be snatched, so in the McLaren there will be no need for the